Hello, everybody. I hope you're doing good. We're trying to. I wasn't so sure if I was going to get on here. Let me put my other glasses on. Wasn't so sure if I was going to get on here, but I did. Hair's poked up. Just came in out of the freezing cold. And I bet it's, I don't know, probably 34 or 5 degrees here. So my sister and my mother and I went out. My sister drove, and the cats. If you hear something going on, they're chasing each other. They're not fight. Well, I wouldn't say fighting, but they're interested in each other. And hi, David. Good to see you. I'm glad you could come on this evening. While you're here, David, I meant to text you. They've put my appointment for the cancer tumor off for a few weeks. They're wanting to do more extensive look over the records and stuff to see how to best do that with that new procedure. So for y'all that knew that I was going to go to my appointment on Friday, I did not go. Besides, the weather was supposed to be really bad, and I would have probably not gone anyway because I had to go to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and it was just sleet and stuff. We were afraid, but they called the day before the sleet hit and told me several of the doctors, because it's a board, want to go over other tests to see if we're doing right by having you as a patient. So that's why I didn't report that I'd gone to the doctor on Friday, because I didn't go. You have to get all your ducks in a row, and that's what we're trying to do before they do the procedure. Or yeah, David says better correct than fast. I always say that's so true. Hi, Jimmy Rockford. How are you? So we're just hanging in here, Mom and I, trying to style the cold. She wore her white fluffy fur tonight, fox, because she said, "Well, I don't think I'll need that." I said, "Mom, I bet you do." It's cold. She was glad that she wore it because, it was really cold. The wind was blowing, and a lot of y'all probably are. Some of you in Canada, some of you in Europe, some of you are up north. I know that y'all are probably having as bad weather as now. Grandma Lois, I saw that she had posted some videos. I haven't talked to her this week, and I haven't talked to Granny Pat this week. Saw snow at Grandma Lois's and Granny Pat. I'm not sure in Kentucky, but I know there's snow up in Canada, and which is always happens this time of year, it seems like. So, but we haven't had any snow. It's just cold. Oh, it's just cold weather, and it's just bitter cold. And you try to get out in that and get your car, get your car heated up. And by the time I get out of the house and get to the country grocery store, my car is warm. So it's warm coming back home, but going, it's not. I did have a car before this one that, it started while you're in the house and all that. And I never used it. And I thought, I should have, with the heated everything. And it just became too expensive. A car like those are very expensive to maintain, and the insurance is high. And I thought we don't go enough to uh, have a car like that. So, but now we're just waiting tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, I have to go to the Texas cancer doctor, Texas Cancer Center, and I have an appointment at 10:30, and then I have to go see the guy that does my varices bandings. This will be my fourth. I have to see him for a follow up. I've had 3 varices bandings, and he thinks I need 4 to 6. So tomorrow I always go for an appointment, and then he does his own scheduling. I mean, him and his nurse will schedule without me having to be in contact with a hospital or anesthetist or anybody. He does it all from that appointment that you follow up appointment. So usually it's within about 2 weeks. So by that time, it'll be getting closer to Christmas. I really wanted to do this after Christmas, but you can't wait when it's your health involved, varices, bleeding, and things like that. You have to get it over with. And we're not going to have a big Christmas. We don't have big Christmases anymore. Because when your family's very minute, you just don't, and the kids are gone or grown, or you don't do anything except eat, cook, and watch TV. And we do that anyway, so there's nothing special. Uh, we think about Jesus's birth and watch the Christmas shows. I love the Christmas shows. A lot of them bring back a lot of memories. And as I told y'all the other day, I live on memories. And, that's what helps me get through life. It's more pleasant and better times. If I'm going through some kind of rough time right now or any other time, especially with this illness, I've never been ill like this before. Uh, you just kind of revert. A lot of people get very depressed. I don't let myself get depressed over the cancer or the cirrhosis or anything. I just don't let myself try to keep going as much as I can. And then when I do get a little down or a little depressed, a lot of people say, well, I can't stand remembering things because it makes me so depressed. And I thought, I'm already depressed when I get into that mood. So it's good for me to reminisce about my grandmother and my mother's families and my father's families and the fun times that we had. It brings peace to my heart, and uh, I become less antsy, as we say. I become more joyful and thankful. And you just go to Walmart or even out into a small, well, anywhere, and you see little babies, little kids that don't look like they have anything. And I'll tell you, that's when you become thankful that you got a warm place. Or you go down under a bridge and you see those homeless people. And like my dad told me one time years ago on the ranch, he said, son, because I'd come home and mother was a savior to several children of my friends, kids that were in school with me in the country school I went to. She would invite them to come and spend the night with me. That's how good my mother and grandmother were. My mother, she always thinks of everybody. And I think that's why I have such a caring heart, because my mother instilled it in me. But she would have me to invite the children, boys, to spend the night at my house because she knew that that was the only time that week probably they've had a meal, a hot meal, and she would wash their clothes, or mainly you didn't wash the clothes back then. You just, I guess, threw them away. I don't know, because they had rags, and she'd go in my closet. I didn't mind her sharing my clothes with these less fortunate kids, but they went home after that weekend. They always say, Billy, I want to come stay at your house again. I said, well, just as soon as I can, we've got things. But they always were very appreciative. So my mother was working for Estee Lauder, and one of the boys she had not seen in probably 20 years came to her store and saw her name and asked if she was kin to me. And she said, yes, I'm his mother. I'm one of the boys that you would invite to come stay at your house on the weekend. And he said, I'm now a registered nurse and going to more medical school. And I don't have long, and I think he was going to be a physician. So, when this boy grew up, some of those good times and memories and the love that my family, because he was not, I don't know if he wasn't loved by his family. I think probably he was loved. They just had nothing. And so he had no way he would have not been anything. But with my mother's help and kind of roundabout way my help, always kind of protected some of those kids, because children can be so mean, so evil. I'll just say it because, and probably today's times, it's even more prevalent because back then you hear them talking, about they're poor or they're dirty or you'll get lice or, and I never met a stranger. Y'all heard a lot of my stories. These kids, they grew up to be somebody, and I think just because of our director, she saw what was needed and she loved them. She literally loved them and was glad to help them. So it's memories, like even that one, that's a good memory. You think back what could have been, should have been. I don't. I try to live on these memories, and helps me get through all the time. And I hope y'all have the good memories around any time of year, but Christmas especially. Don't get depressed because your kids don't talk to you or you have no family left, or just make the best of it, because uh, we're here for each other. Or we wouldn't be watching YouTube, and I wouldn't be broadcasting. Uh, I love you all, and I pray for each one of you as best I can, in a blanket prayer. But I hope that it helps. And I know y'all pray for me, especially after I got ill. A lot of those prayers went up, and I could feel it. Let me see if there's any. Hi, Dorothy. Good to see you. Said they've had snow and below zero temperatures in Nebraska. Well, you better stay warm. You better put on what were those called? Not thermal underwear. Back then it was called Snuggies. That's in the South, they called them Snuggies. And they were just thermal underwear or onesies, I've got a onesie with the little drop in the back. I may wear that Christmas Eve and do a show so I can wear my onesie. I don't wear it, but it's warm. It's made out of the same material that the thermal hunting. We used to have that underwear to go hunting, I never was much of a hunter, but I would go just in the motions because my brother-in-law and my father, and they would go deer hunting. And I never wanted to mess with it. I didn't like, I don't like killing things. And, it'd be different if I had to have something to eat. I will, I could do it. But I remember mother, let me get a little drink. Having some cherry tea. Um, I remember we had chicken, and there was no chicken that wouldn't leave nothing alone. So my mother got the idea, well, or maybe my daddy told her, just cook that chicken. Well, now grandmother, she was more into that, but mother, was she's not be 94 her birthday, but during that era, you bought meat at the market and stuff. But so here she goes out the door, getting that chicken, chasing that chicken, and me as a child was just sitting there on the stoop, watching, thinking, "Oh Lord, I don't know. This is just too much for me to withstand." But she got that chicken and she wrung its neck, and here I was just sitting there all calm and thinking, "Oh, that poor chicken." And then she got its head wrung off, and then all of a sudden that thing come back to life. She threw it on the ground. That thing come back to life, and it scared the hell out of me. It jumped around, it flew at me, but it didn't have a head, and I didn't know what was going. I think it marred me for life. So I don't want, and that was when I was young. I think that's what uh, got me to not wanting to hunt or do anything like that was normal in our part of Texas. You just, I didn't want nothing to do with it because that darn chicken incident, and I just couldn't hardly eat that chicken, y'all. When she fried that chicken up in that black skillet, put it on the table, I kept thinking about that chicken coming back to life. And so, but to make a little story out of that, she said, Mama said, and she's in there directing, so she's watching, and she may not remember this. Uh, she said, or I had found out that people ate, maybe my grandmother told me, that they ate chicken brains. And I thought, chicken brains? Granny, how do you eat chicken brains? I mean, the head, just little bitty, you know what a chicken head looks like. So I told mother, I said, Mother, I want to eat that chicken because we didn't do this often. I want to eat that chicken brain. She said, well, I've never done that before that I know of. I'm just kind of ad-libbing because I don't remember exactly what was said, but whatever. She skinned that chicken's head off, the beak and the that thing, and fried that, and then inside there were two small little, they were no bigger than, looked like about like a Dawn's kidney peel. Little bitty things, and you had to get my grandmother, I guess, told us how they did it, and you had to get a toothpick to dip those out. But I ate chicken brains. Never did it again, but I was so inquisitive about stuff back then that I had to have those chicken brains, and I did it. I don't remember. I don't even remember the flavor or taste or nothing about it. But that was the whole shooting match with the chicken. We never killed another chicken, thank God, because let me look here. Dorothy said, I watched the Waltons Christmas show. I haven't, Dorothy, I hadn't seen that in a long time. I bet my friend Cora Beth she probably was in the Waltons, the Christmas show, I imagine. I do miss her so much. We'd talk on the phone for hours. It's so sad that All my friends are about gone. Chris, how are you? Glad you could show up. Dorothy, our parents killed and butchered chickens, and once as kids, a chicken with its head off was chasing me and my sister. Yes, it's the truth. You you wring that neck and get that old head off, and they'll come after you. Yes, they will. But I'm glad we don't have to do that now because I thought about getting some chickens again for eggs, but it's too much work. Y'all, it's just too much work to do all that. And now that the egg prices are down, I bet these people that bought all those chickens wish that they hadn't have because it's a lot of money and it's a lot of work to have fresh eggs. They're good and all that, but I'm not going to do something. Chris says he's doing okay. We're doing good. We are doing good, just staying warm. As I told everybody, it gets pretty cold, and we got our Dearborn heaters, the big ones, and we've got central, but I'm having some trouble with that heater. So I'm glad that we decided to put in the big space heaters because that saved us. When your heat goes out, and electricity, let's say if it went out, at least you've got those gas heaters, and they put out a lot of heat. And I'm glad that we decided to do that because this year we really benefited from that heater. I'm not in the part of the house where this was my art studio here, and it's my plants, and it's kind of a den, I guess you'd call a den, but I have a small one of those black, it looks like a little stove, and it's just a space heater, but it keeps this room here is pretty big. It keeps it warm, to where because there's a bathroom off of this, and then the washroom is there. It keeps the pipes from freezing. So, you know, uh, I'm glad that but I am glad we did get those big space heaters because, uh, or gas heaters, because if the electricity went off, we've got a fireplace, but I think there's the flue or the chimney. The last time I tried to build a fire in it, oh Lord, it looked like this house was on fire inside. I think that the chimney needs to be cleaned after all these years. What it is, I lit that, and I've done so good, and built the fire and got the sticks and left out for a little bit. Went in there, and you couldn't see yourself to think. It was so much smoke, and so I ran and opened the back doors and the front doors, and that smoke was just billowing out. I even had people stop to say, "Is your house on fire?" I said, "No, it's not on fire, but just me being an idiot. I didn't check to see if the chimney needed cleaning or whatever they do." Jerry, no, I don't hardly put up a tree anymore uh, because I've got two huge trees. Uh, do y'all ever watch that guy on? Let me see if I don't know. I love his. I don't know if I can find it. I love his show. Uh, and he decorates those trees, and he does all kind of stuff, and they're just absolutely divine, beautiful. Uh, and if y'all haven't seen it, y'all need to see it. Uh, Facebook, I imagine he's got YouTube, uh, but I don't see it on here. I'll tell you next time. But I love his. I love the way he does uh, his trees, and that's the way I used to do all my trees with the big, with a lot of the holly and everything in the middle of the tree. So here's another one of them crazy people asking if I was Michael Jackson's lover. Well, not that I know of. I think he's dead, isn't he? That's the first. That's the first person that's got on here in a long time. We used to have them. When we first started this, y'all told me to get a moderator and all that, but I haven't had any trouble till that's the first one I've had. I guess months and months. So I don't know. I'm looking here. We had the vet come over to say goodbye to our dog of 18 years. Oh, Gary Brunt said they had the vet come and to say goodbye to their dog at 18 years. She had a good life. Oh, I imagine she did, but that's one of the most heartbreaking things in the world, when my Labrador and Sharpei decided they just weren't well. I just had my friend that's a vet, I had her take them and be with them because I just couldn't stay. I could not, and I know that you're supposed to go stay with the pet while they're, because they know, but I just couldn't do it, y'all. I mean, my nerves couldn't stand it, especially the little girl, the last one. But these cats, I think they're invincible. The way they've been running around this house today and acting crazy from the time that we get up to the time we go down. I think it's the cool weather makes these cats just go kind of crazy. But they love each other. I don't think they're fighting. I think they're just rowdy, just being rowdy. And I got them some new food. And I thought, well, I don't like changing dog or cat food without gradually, so I don't upset their stomach. But the black and white one loved the new food. Well, they all did. And I thought, well, I'm just going to feed them a little piece of the can for a few days, and then I will change them over. I've got them on dry food, which I think is best, but I think my black and white cat has kind of a little allergy to some of the maybe dye or maybe the grain. I think it's probably the grain. So I've got the food now that doesn't have the grain in it. And we'll just see because it made him sick to his stomach. And it was after he ate the food that had a certain sweet potato something in it or something like that. But we'll just have to wait and see. But I thought it's Sunday. And once I got back in, I thought, well, I better try and go on, even though I posted a couple recipes this week. Just because y'all get the benefit of me having to cook. I turn the camera on and then upload it. I have to edit it. The camera, I finally redid the camera hookup above because my hair kept getting in the way. And I thought, I'm having to try to edit this out to look at. I know y'all don't care. You say you don't care. It's a video. You can hear it. Okay. But I'm one of those that I want it to look, and it's still not correct. I'm no Samuel Goldwyn, but I didn't like it when my hair got in the camera. So I would try to edit it out. Well, then that made the view part of the video, the screen part, be very small. Then I tried to adjust it. Well, it distorted it. So those the older videos that before I got the good camera, and when I had the phone, a lot of those had to be edited because my hair was getting in the way in the viewfinder. So, but I changed the metal piece. Y'all know what it's called above the holder, the holder for the camera, and I've added it to the ceiling, a portion of the ceiling with a piece of landing strip. So I think that will point down onto the area in the kitchen uh, a lot better than what I was having to use to try to video. And I've got a monitor that I hooked up to the camera, and I can see what's going on, because used to I couldn't see if I was frying in the pan or what I was doing. So it's going to get better. It's just, I guess I've only been on here, I don't know what, a year and a half, something like that. I haven't. So y'all subscribe and do whatever they're saying. Do I don't know what they're saying. Do me, they say, or something like that. To I don't know. Whatever you do, thumbs up. We know that. Then there's some other new word. You're supposed to punch it. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But I wanted to come on and see if y'all were okay. We're okay. We're just staying warm. Doctor's appointments this week. Nothing new to report. Mother's fine. I did take her to the neurologist because she was having that orthostatic blood pressure, 60/40 when she stood up. So that's why she got dizzy a little bit. Well, the neurologist, wonderful lady. We both fell in love with her. She said, I was going through my phone where I do my research, and I said, well, what about salt tablets? I said, I can't have salt anymore, but I never really salted our food much, even before the doctors said no more salt. She said, well, yeah, that's one of the first lines of defense. We try salt tablets on orthostatic blood pressure. I said, well, I never have. Nobody told me to. So she advised me to go get a bottle of salt tablets, $21 for 1 milligram salt tablets, and try them once a day. Even though mother has stage 3 kidney disease, you have to be careful of that salt. So I called her back and I said, did I not? I forgot to tell you about the salt. About the kidney disease. And she said, well, we're trying to combat her falling, and at her age, it's better to use the salt if it's helping the blood pressure. And so I said, well, so in a couple of days, this will be about the 3rd day, maybe the 4th day, her blood pressure has gone up 20 points. So it could have been salt all along. I thought the B12 it helped it some, which it did, but the salt, I think, has been the culprit, because we just don't use a lot of it, and I know your body has to have it. So that's the lowdown on mother and her doctor. We'd waited on that appointment for 3 months. So maybe she's on the mend, and maybe I'm on the mend, and maybe y'all are on the mend, and I hope y'all have a good rest of your week. I'll try to come on just as soon as I can, because there's always something going on here. I don't know if it's good or bad, but at least we enjoy when it's warmer. We'll enjoy it better, and try to stay out of the cold. If y'all are in the snow, be careful if you're in the cold. But we'll talk to you soon, and I'm gonna get off here because I got to get mom her medicine. God bless you. God bless us. God bless the United States. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.